So, Mark, did you see that photo of Desert Inn back in the day? The huge spread of food across the table, the beautiful Parisian-inspired decor in the restaurant, advertising the show coming up. It's a whole vibe. It doesn't exist anymore. Is that a good or a bad thing?
The decadence is there. It's kind of amazing. And I don't think that we get the service. I mean, some high-end restaurants for sure, but for the most part, we don't get the service that they used to give back then. But people don't take their time to enjoy things like they did back then. You know, they're always in a rush to do something. So it's partly our fault, partly, restaurants' fault and all that stuff. That's just the way it is these days. But tell me that picture did not make you think it came straight out of The Shining.
I mean, it doesn't look that bad.
Just that feel. I got all red and pinks and stuff, and just the time frame. It just felt like Red Rum is around the corner.
Great news if you love cheesecake and you love New York delis. Junior's is coming to Resorts World. They announced it this week. It's going to open in November. I think it's going to go into that space where the kitchen is. That's their sort of breakfast lunch place across from Suns Out, Buns Out, and Randy's Donuts. And I'm excited. Every time I go to Times Square, got to get me some Junior's cheesecake. And, Mark, they're going to have late night offerings, meaning they're answering your biggest complaint.
Yeah, and that was really what the kitchen was supposed to be, the late night spot. And it's a massive restaurant. They have a ton of seats. And when we were there early on in the opening, they didn't use any of the seats because they didn't have enough service staff, and I don't think it's ever really gotten figured out. The food was terrible when I had it there. I would never go back. So I'm glad to see them repurpose it, and they definitely need the 24-hour place. So I'm looking forward to this. Anytime you have New York deli, cheesecake, stuff like that, perfect late night stuff to eat. So I hope it works out for them. They definitely need it. And that space has been kind of an eyesore, I think, since the start.
Yeah, I think this is a big upgrade, and it's just another example of these brands from elsewhere coming to Las Vegas. We're getting so many of them. We've talked about like Whataburger, and there's just from the high end to the low end, everybody wants to get into this market. There was a story this morning that Portillo's from Chicago is considering Vegas as their next market as well. So you're getting all of these sort of famous places,
fast food,
from all over the country.
You're going to get everybody upset about talking about too much fast food again.
Hey, we weren't just talking about fast food. We're talking about cheesecake, too. They have great cheesecake. I love their cheesecake, so I'm excited. It's probably going to be $15 a slice, but what can you do?
Pretty soon it will be in a vending machine, I'm sure, somewhere. That's what Vegas does, too.
All right, I hate to complain about the Rio again, but just a reminder that the switchover is happening October 1st from Caesars to Dreamscape. And if you want to stay there, the new rooms, the renovated rooms, some of them are online now, but you might not want to stay there because the lines have been incredibly long going back months. But Jacob from Jacob's Life in Vegas shot this video on 11 p.m. on a Monday night, showing the line just snaking through the casino. It looked worse than the MGM hack lines, and 2 people checking people in, no kiosks working. Caesars does not care about the employees, and I don't care how cheap the room is. It's not worth waiting in that line.
Yeah, that's the big thing. Like everybody's said on Twitter, go use the kiosk. Well, the kiosks are down, and I've even had it if I booked 2 rooms, it wouldn't let me check in at the kiosk. So there's times that the kiosk just doesn't work. That's why I prefer the in-app check-in that MGM usually has. You have less issues with, and you're doing it on your phone and everything. So I wish they would move to that versus kiosks. They seem to be less problematic. But yeah, this line is just insane. It just is a big middle finger from Caesars to the Rio. And you think they would step in, like these last couple weeks, you're building all these people that are never going to come back to your property because of their horrible experience, even though you're not even running it. I would force something, step in, bring in more people. I don't care what it is, but somebody needs to be down there doing something. This is just insane. On a Monday night of all things, it's not busy. Like, that's just crazy.
Can you imagine having that job, being the person to check everybody in, how pissed they would be after waiting and, no excuse, no reason for it. It's just that they don't want to staff it enough. But let's talk about the positive side. The paint is going up on the outside of the building and we're getting more looks at it. And what a night and day difference between the old faded, that sort of metal in between the windows and all painted bright, and the sign is now getting done. So a lot of positive stuff, I would say, but Caesars can't get out quick enough.
Yeah, I'd almost end the contract early, but the paint looks great. It pops. It looks like it used to, old, vibrant colors. So it's bringing life back, kind of what we saw with Circus, and what we're hoping to see with Paris and the balloon. So it's nice to see. The one good thing about, well, this was already in place before F1, but the one good thing about F1 is a lot of people are upping their timeline to get it done before that because they don't want to look all dusty and dirty on on all the TVs across the world.
Yeah, Rio gonna look good despite anything. I'm excited. We're having the changeover. It's gonna get better. We're gonna get it. The rooms are okay. We're gonna see what the new rooms will be. Let's focus on the positive here.
6.
And Yeah, and the positive is that Caesars will be gone. That's a big positive coming up just in the next few weeks. So Vital Vegas wrote this weird story about his Red Rock Station Casinos account having points stolen from it. An employee was going through the accounts. Very strange. He's not sure if he was targeted because of who he is. But in this day of cyber attacks and leaks of information, always a reminder that they have a lot of your stuff and there are a lot of people who have access to it. We don't know much more about it because he was a victim. They haven't released anything. But a lot of people in these casinos have access to your information.
Yeah, and I don't know what this person was thinking. Like, why break into accounts to steal points to use at the place you work? Like, they don't have a monetary value outside of cashing them in maybe for free play or for food. Like, you're robbing it at work and then you're using it at work. Like, 2 chances to get caught just blows my mind. And such low numbers, it's kind of stupid to lose your job over. But yeah, we've seen with the hacks and everything else, these employees and the thefts we've seen from employees over the last couple of years, and even when they didn't mean to, and they were just taking bags of money out to random people because they got a phone call. Like, they have a lot of power that they probably shouldn't have, and it's kind of scary when you think about it.
Yeah, we'll see if anything else comes from that. If he wasn't a victim, he probably would have never known about it. But yeah, as you said, the person allegedly took low amounts of points, at least from him. Yeah, even though we don't know who it is, allegedly. So free play, there's a company called Acres Manufacturing Company. They did a white paper on how casinos are sort of in the past with their free play, how it's not generating revenue for them in the way that they think, and maybe laying the foundation for getting rid of free play or altering it significantly. Now, of course, in casinos, there's a big difference between locals casinos who attract more like hardcore gamblers, I would say, and like Vegas casinos who have more, leisurely stuff. But it's a very interesting article. Also talks about the age demographics of who gambles. 70% of revenue is coming from players over the age of 55, which is strange because you just see these new machines which are more and more like video games, but it's still old people dumping all their money into them.
Yeah, and we've seen, record gaming levels, and you think that's younger people spending more of their discretionary income, but it seems like older people are just like balling out more than ever, which is kind of crazy to see, cool to see. I kind of want to deep dive this a bit more in our Patreon episode that we're going to do this week, because I have some thoughts on the loyalty programs, free play versus not free play, and does it really help? And we've seen that here in sportsbooks going online. They're trying to get everybody to come to theirs and throwing out these huge promos and losing a ton of money up front just to try to gain market share. And I don't know that it ever necessarily works, and I don't know that free play ever really drives me to go somewhere.
Yeah, it's strange in a way. It's a very old-fashioned practice. The line of thinking is it gets you into the casino, you're going to lose more. We of course know people who just go in, take their free play, get out, but I think that's probably the exception and not the rule. So I don't 2%. Know if this paper is taking into account. Yeah, exactly. It's taking into account people who are going to the casinos because of free play and lose other money. But as we said, this is corporate Vegas version 3.0. All these gaming companies are more, mature in what they're doing, and these loyalty programs are more mature. And mature loyalty programs, as we both know, mean less generous loyalty programs. They cut out all the fat, the things that are not really driving revenue, and you will see that continue in the gaming space. So Formula One, not a huge amount of stories this week other than the traffic nightmares. Yesterday, Fox 5 did a story driving down the strip and talking about this new texting thing. You can text Formula One and they'll give you an update to traffic information. So that's their big solution to this. Although I texted that number this morning and never got a response, so I don't know if it's not working or whatever. But on their live stream, it took them 43 minutes to go from Bellagio to Aria, so from Flamingo to Harmon, about a half a mile. And this isn't pretty. We're still 2 months out. We're not complaining about the race. People think that we're too negative here. This is the impact. This is what we're seeing from people here in Las Vegas visiting. And as I point out, it's still 2 months away.
Yeah, I feel bad for everybody that works on the strip and has to deal with this coming to work or getting home from work. Because that's added hours to, at least a half hour each way probably. And that's an hour more that you're spending away from home. And it's not like you're getting paid for it. So it is like an hour more of work that's unpaid. As well as like Uber drivers, taxi drivers. A lot of their pay isn't based on how long it takes. Most of it is mileage and stuff like that. So they're getting probably paid less than they would doing more trips and stuff. And you get stuck. Nothing's more awkward than getting stuck in a non-moving car with a Uber or cab driver, and I don't like that either. It's hard, and there's not the public transport to really get you around, even when you are on the strip easily. I mean, you have the monorail for half of it, but you're still having a lot of walking mixed in with that, which some people just can't do. So it's a tough couple months, and this is going to be a yearly thing, so it's going to be tough sledding.
But at least you can text them while you're sitting there in traffic and get some real-time updates. Probably you use Google Maps, though. It's probably better, or Waze. that'll probably help you a little bit better than that. But there were people who testified in front of the county commission who work at these casinos. One person said it takes 30 minutes to get to the daycare to pick up their child. That's less than a mile away. These are real people with real impacts that I don't think everybody sort of considered when they decided this race. And again, I don't believe that any of this was announced. I stand by that. We do this show every week. We're heavily involved in it. This entire schedule, basically saying 6 months, is just not what they announced. They announced small parts of closures. They didn't say that the Strip was going to be closed. Maybe it's common sense in hindsight, but it sucks for those people. And we're not going to cover this on every show, but I wanted to cover the text information so you can they can save you. Yeah, we're just going to get more bitter and bitter as November comes.
No, I mean, the way they made it seem like they're going to do it in small sections, which we thought was stupid at the time, because you're like, you're just going to have to go back over it all again, because if you start this one section 2 months before the race, you're going to have to redo it. What's the point? So we kind of knew that it was going to be a mess, but maybe not to this level. And I'm shocked of like what they've already closed down walkways for pedestrians on the Strip to build these stands and everything. It's more cutting down trees. It's just more than I even imagined, which is, probably naiveness on our parts, but it is what it is.
They need to get this race off the Strip in future years. Use the backside of the Strip. Do something, because this is just
Put
nasty.
it in the desert. It'd be cool.
So we've talked that cannabis lounges are coming to Southern Nevada or Nevada in general, and several places have approved licenses. That just means they can build it out. Then they have to go to the local municipalities and get approval. One of those places we found out this week is Area 15. And I think that anybody who went to Area 15 or saw Area 15 said that this is the perfect place for a cannabis lounge. It's going to be in a separate warehouse building. So if you bring your family there, kids during the day, things like that, it won't be in that same space as the main Area 15. But they're moving towards getting that thing open soon. A lot of details still not known, as it seems like all these lounges are keeping secrets from each other, trying to one-up the other ones. But I think this place is going to do really good business. Enjoy the lounge, then enjoy the craziness that is Meow Wolf and Area 15.
Yeah, it's the perfect couple together, like hand in hand. But the thing you have to worry about is when you enter this in, are people going to try to do it in other places of Area 15, saying, well, you have the lounge, like what's the big deal? And how do they police that and not upset everybody? So hopefully people stay in the area that they're supposed to stay in. Probably won't happen, but if they do, I think it's a great thing. Go have a little fun before you go do these trippy things, the distillery, Meow Wolf, all that stuff. It's really cool, and I think it's a great fit. So I'm sure they'll do something above and beyond for this space as well, like they do everywhere else. So it'll probably be like one of the best cannabis lounges in the world, I imagine.
Wait until the Universal Monsters Haunted House opens up. You have a lot of paranoid people getting scared running around there. It should be quite the show.
Yes, that'll be fun. People watching right there.
So we're going to go change clothes and talk about the Bellagio stay I had a couple weeks ago. I was in the Spa Tower. We recorded this for a previous show, but because of the hacks and time, we had to cut it. So enjoy. We'll talk all about the Spa Tower, the new rooms, and why my stay was good. So take that, all you people who think I hate on Bellagio and MGM. Let's talk Bellagio real quick. The Spa Tower, I've been teasing this for a few shows, stayed there in the renovated rooms. And Bellagio announced this a few months ago. The renovations of the Spa Tower will be complete by October, but many of the rooms are online now, and I was able to stay in one. I paid for this. This wasn't a sponsored stay or anything like that, so this is my honest opinion. $110 million renovation of this tower. 819 rooms are being redone. It's kind of a pain in the butt when you're staying there during the renovation, because if you're on any of the upper floors, you can't get to the pool area without switching elevators because of the construction, but that'll be over soon. And I want to say that because that's my biggest gripe of this stay. And if that's my biggest gripe, then I think it was a pretty good stay. And we've talked before about having mixed results at Bellagio, and some people give us a hard time saying we really hate on them. I don't hate on them. I just say they're not win. And some people think that they're at that level, and I do not. But all that said, I really liked my stay. I really had a great stay. Went to check in, was able to check in at the VIP check-in for gold members because I have my MGM Gold card or gold and above. Took really good care of me in the little lounge. It's actually hidden behind the front desk. And I didn't really know this, but they have snacks and waters available. So if you're a gold or above, you can just walk in there anytime and get that. It's not like a closed lounge. It's just a kind of a desk with that stuff off to the side. So that's a neat little trick for you, and gave me a nice view of the Bellagio fountains and the renovated room. The rooms look very similar to the 2021 renovations of the Bellagio Tower, inspired by Lake Como. The hallways have that same like circular ripple pattern, and the decor in the rooms is largely the same. The one big difference, Mark, with the Spa Tower is the closet. They didn't need to take out the part of the bathroom in order to put a closet in, so you have a bathtub and a shower.
There you go. And the bathtub looked clean. It didn't have any gunk coming up from the pipes, so that's good to see. I mean, they look very similar to. I looked at your review from a couple years back when you did the original tower changes, and it looks almost identical when you flip back and forth between the two in the main room. The big difference is the bathroom, and I know people love their tubs. It was a big thing when they were taking tubs out of some of the rooms, but I actually like the look of the bathroom without the tub. It looks a little bit more modern, a little bit cleaner, a nicer tile, versus they're kind of stuck with that shape and the wallpaper around the tub and stuff like that. I think the shower looks nicer, the bathroom just looks a bit nicer, so I'd probably prefer that room. It all depends on if you get stuck where you want to walk and stuff like that, because Bellagio is so massive that if you get the wrong tower versus what you want to do, it could be a real pain. So I think that almost would dictate where I'd stay more. Like, what do I want to do? Am I going to be on property focusing at Bellagio, or do I want to go to other properties, and then deciding which tower to book into for that?
Yeah, what's nice about the Spa Tower is it's located close to the tram station to Aria, and that walkway to Vidara, and that new connection to Cosmo. All that's going to be right there. Cosmo's not connected quite yet, but everything else is. So you can get into City Center really quickly. You'll be able to walk to Cosmo very, very quickly from the Spa Tower. The downside is if you want to go the other direction, it's far, and I didn't really prefer that location. I like the main tower better, quite honestly, but that's just, nitpicking a little bit. It's a pretty long walk from there to get to, like, say, Flamingo, or to get out to the Bellagio Fountains or something like that. Not a huge deal. But the staff friendly. I've had really bad interactions with staff. Nothing crazy, but just not friendly, not to the level. And again, I've talked about Wynn and how it stands out their level of service. And I feel like at Bellagio this time, the lifeguards out by the pool, everybody I came in contact with, the person who checked me in, was incredibly friendly. So I have really high praise for my stay there. The rooms obviously are not on the same level as Wynn or those top quality rooms. The furnishings just aren't there. But as far as a modern room with some of that, Italian touch, it's not your generic gray room. They tried to do something a little different. The beds are super comfortable. Yeah, it's a good place to stay. Great stay. My best stay ever at Bellagio. So I'm really happy to report that. And for all you people who say I'm a Bellagio hater, there you go. I said tons of nice things now. Just to point out, though, this is my, I think, 5th time staying there, and the only time I had a flawless stay.
There you go. 1 out of 5. Wouldn't even make the majors. No, just kidding.
But, it's the recent one, so, they're getting better.
Yeah.
And the conservatory is great. We showed on the garden table. It's a cool place to be, right? The location's good. The pool area, I had seen the pool area a lot, but I had never had a chance to swim out there during my stays because usually they were in the off season or I just didn't make it a priority. Got to do that. Took Ellie there and my wife Jasmine, so we had a family day out by the pool. Very nice. I love the pool area there. Again, it's like Steve Wynn sort of evolved. Like the Wynn pool area is just a little bit nicer, better gardens, but they're built by the same person and you can see the vision in both, and there are a lot of comparisons. And I guess that's where I choose Wynn over Bellagio, is that I feel like it's a better version, a more evolved version, because it was built 7 years later. But certainly you can't do wrong. And I stayed with FHR really quick. That's American Express Fine Hotels and Resorts with your Amex Platinum card. I used a $200 credit, which basically covered the whole room cost during the week. So all I basically paid was the resort fee. I ended up with a $100 property credit, $60 in breakfast credit at Siddell's, and a late checkout, 4 p.m. checkout. We're able to check in at noon. That's a great deal if you can find good rates with Amex FHR, or there's other credit card programs that do similar things. But that's the way to do it if you're going to stay at Bellagio.
Bellagio, the main areas are always fantastic, and when you're paying the price tag of $500, $400, if you're not getting comped or something, that's where I run into the issue of that. Is that room worth it? To me, it's not usually. You can still go hang out in the casino or go to the restaurants. You don't need to be staying there. So that's what I tend to do.
So let us know what you guys think about anything we talked about. Junior's Cheesecake, F1 traffic, the Rio paint. How great does that look? Hit us up in the comments. We do 2 shows a week, Tuesdays and Fridays, and we'll be back in just a couple days with another show. Don't forget our Patreon after show if you want to support us. We do that every Friday as well. Thanks for watching. Talk to you next time.
Let us know which outfit you like better between the two that we wore today.
So, Formula One, not a huge amount of stories this week other than the traffic nightmares continue, and they will for a couple hours. Yesterday, Fox 5 did a drive.
Couple hours?
43... Sorry, a couple months.
There you go. I still hate it.
All right, and then we'll come back.
You can cut that out. You can cut